of Defense. First note, I believe this will be the last, probably the last time that General Dunford testifies before our committee. And then he was the acting chairman for life because he kept in that spot, but they never made him permanent. So, Budget Control Act. There is no good reason to do this. Artificially, just two final points. I have to make, the comment that funding a border wall out of the Department of Defense is also unbelievably irresponsible. And I won't even get into the debate here about the wisdom of that border wall. We can do that at another time. But whatever one feels about the border wall, to look at the Pentagon as sort of a piggy bank / slush fund where you can simply go in and grab money for something when you need it, really undermines the credibility of the entire DoD budget. Because if you've got $5 to $10 to $20 billion just lying around at the Pentagon for any particular purpose, then what does that say about whether or not you really need the money that you come up here telling us that you need? So this committee, and I think there's been bipartisan expression of this, is unalterably opposed to taking money out of DoD to fund the border wall.
And fiscal instability have affected our readiness and eroded the competitive advantage we enjoyed a decade or more.
Mr. Secretary, you may find yourself the target of a lot of criticism for decisions that you had nothing to do with today. I hope that's not the case. I, for example, share the chairman's view that we should not take Department of Defense resources and use it for other purposes. I know that that was not a decision you made.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all of you for joining us today, and particularly to General Dunford. It's been a privilege. And
the conversation took place prior to the declaration of a national emergency. It was part of the consulting that went on. We said, here are the risks, longer term to the department, and those risks were weighed. And then, given a legal order from the Commander-in-Chief, we are executing on that order. And as we discussed, the first reprogramming was $1 billion, and I wanted to do it before we had this committee hearing because we've been talking about this for some time, and I've been deliberately working to be transparent in this process, fully knowing that there is downsides, which will hamper us.
And ultimately, you asked for $1 billion yesterday. It is still the plan to ask for $2.4 billion out of the drug enforcement account?
We haven't made the assessment of what, so consider these increments or tranches, however you want to phrase them. Potentially, we could draw $2.5 billion when we look at the total general transfer authority. We think beyond that would be too painful to being able to continue and maintain readiness and operations. Okay. But we don't know what that next increment of funding would look like.
Y'all for being here and for your service to our country. Secretary Shanahan, I appreciate you taking the lead of defense. The administration Space Force proposal is the one that you sent over is very comprehensive.